cross-curricular. Learner response systems can be used in any subject. People tend to think it lends itself to the core subjects of maths or math, English and science. But they can actually be used in any subject where questioning is appropriate. And there probably isn't a subject in the curriculum where students don't get questioned. So think outside of the box. When you're demonstrating LRS, try to use examples that come from different parts of the curriculum. And that will inspire teachers to use it in different parts of the curriculum. That said, the first example that I've got here is actually a math one, but slightly different. Learning should be fun, and remember, although you're demonstrating learner response systems, this is an opportunity to show what you can do in Active Inspire, what you can actually do in flip chart format. And what's been created here is an activity, a math activity, and by clicking on the squares, I can reveal a question. And the idea of this is that it's a game, and the answer to each square or each question is the beginning of the next. And we have to work through as a class to get down to this question here, and hopefully the answer to this question should be 36. Now, when you bring something like this into a lesson, students are engaged. The idea that they're actually doing math kind of goes out of the window a little bit because they think they're having fun, they're doing an activity. We're going to use numeric entry on the active expression device. So again, we're covering another one of the response types. Rather than just sit through or talk through all these different responses with our audience, we're showing them, we're showing how they work. Numeric response actually locks down the device. It only allows numbers and the positive and negative sign to be used. Now, math teachers may question you at that point and say, well, hold on, in math, there is lots of other symbols. What about square root? What about pi, etc.? They are all available in Active Expression as well under the symbols menu, and you would use text entry to activate that. For this purpose, though, it is just numbers that I need as the answers, so we're going to stick with numeric entry, and we're going to make it a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to say to my class, okay, we'll move on to the next question if 75% or more of you get it right. So you start to add in some element of competition there, so that they want to actually do it, they want to achieve, they want to be successful. So I've given you a clue, probably with students I wouldn't do. But I have already said we're looking for the square root of 36. It's numeric entry, and the devices are now active. And once people have had a chance to vote, again, you don't have to wait for everybody. We're going to stop the vote. Incidentally, it's worth pointing out, if everybody does vote, it will automatically go to the results. And we've got a majority of the class saying 6. We do have somebody who didn't get it quite right there, but that's okay, we can move on. I can point out, you can go back to these results, you can find out who that individual is and help them after the lesson with some extra support. So, we're all saying 6. We presume that must be the answer. Let's have a look if we were right. And of course it was. And we can move on. And we can work through all of these. Now again, don't make everybody go through everything. There's no need to do that. But do show the software off. Show the different things that you can do. So here, I've actually changed tack a little bit. I've got the answer to 48 divided by 3 is 16, but I haven't got the next question. Because instead, I've designed this so that I've got the answer here. So this time, I'm changing my questioning. I'm actually allowing the students to make the question. What could this question be? 16, do something to 16 to get 4. What could that be? And using full text entry, they can input their answers. Now, again, you don't need to make them do this, but it is worth telling them that, experience that perhaps you've had with students or seen or heard of students doing this in the classroom. People will come up with different answers to this. 16 divided by 4, 16 subtract 12, a quarter of 16. There's lots of different questions you could ask to get this answer. And by offering this different way of questioning, you're actually allowing the students to differentiate for themselves what they're comfortable with. We talked about cross-curricular, and I used a math example. just to show that it can be something like an art lesson. We've got here an art lesson. We've been looking at portraits, and I've got a question on the board. Are both pictures portraits? So if we reveal the pictures, like so. Remember what we talked about last week when we were doing portraits in class? I'm going to ask you to simply answer yes or no, and we could get the audience to do that. Remember, sometimes the questions are as simple as yes or no. Are they both portraits? And we've used resources here. We've managed to insert some pictures. Active Inspired does have obviously a comprehensive resource library, but there are other things you may want to pull from. See what the class has said. We've got a split there. So this would tell me that I need to recap. We need to talk about what a portrait actually is. Maybe people have got really good arguments as to why one is a portrait, one isn't. Maybe somebody can justify why they're saying they both are, and I can drill down and find out that information. Again, we're not in the core subjects here. We're in foundation subjects like art, but there still warrants discussion. I can then go on and ask the students to text similarities and differences. Now, I think it's probably, as you come towards the end of your demonstration, important to say to your audience that while we're advocating the use of a learner response system in a lesson, we are by no means saying this takes up the whole lesson. This is just part. This is just a little part of what's a richer lesson, and it enhances that experience. They don't sit there answering question after question. This goes on to, form what we're doing. Perhaps they're going to go away and do their own self-portraits, but they need to understand what a portrait is in the beginning. So this just helps the lesson move along. Okay.